There's a ribbon on my desk. Faded green, frayed at one end, tied to a brass key that doesn't fit any lock I own anymore. I still touch it before I open my mail. I don't know why. Old habit, I guess, from a man who used to say a key means somebody trusted you enough to let you in. My name's Denise Calloway. I'm 41 years old. And this story cost me my mother's phone number. She changed it 3 years ago and never gave me the new one. If you're new here, I tell true stories about the families we're born into and the ones we build for ourselves. So stick around. And if this one gets you somewhere, hit subscribe. It helps more than you'd think. I want to take you back to a kitchen. Not a courtroom. Not yet. A kitchen in Ohio, yellow linoleum, a radio on the counter playing a ball game nobody was listening to. I was 9 years old, sitting at that table doing homework, and my grandfather, Warren Calloway, was standing at the stove making grilled cheese, because my parents had, once again, forgotten to pick me up from school. That happened a lot. Not because my parents were monsters. I want to say that clearly, right up front, because it matters later. My mother, Carol, was tired in a way I didn't understand until I had my own tired years. My father, Russ, worked nights at a plant that doesn't exist anymore, and when he was home he was mostly just present. Like furniture. Not unkind. Just gone somewhere behind his eyes. They had 3 kids, and not enough of themselves to go around, and somehow I always ended up the one who got left at the school, left at the dance recital, left at the church potluck until Grandpa's truck pulled up. It was a green Ford, rust creeping up the wheel wells. And I used to watch for it out the window of whatever building I'd been forgotten in. When it turned the corner, something in my chest would unclench. That's the physical detail I want you to hold on to. A green truck, turning a corner. Right on time. My older brother Tyler and my younger sister Meg didn't need the truck as much. They were easier kids, the kind who didn't require extra trips or extra patience. I was the one with the ear infections that turned into surgeries. The one who couldn't read until 2nd grade because nobody caught it early. The one who needed rides to specialists 40 minutes away. My parents called it help. My grandfather just called it Tuesday. I remember a specific Tuesday because most of them blur together, but this one didn't. I was maybe 11. There'd been a mix-up about dance recital pickup, and I sat on the curb outside the community center for 40 minutes with my duffel bag between my sneakers, watching every car that wasn't the green truck go by. When it finally turned the corner, Grandpa had a dish towel thrown over one shoulder, still smelling like the pot roast he'd been cooking, and there was a store-bought pie sitting in the passenger seat, still warm through the box, because he'd stopped at the bakery on the way in case I hadn't eaten. He didn't apologize for being late. He didn't ask why nobody else had come. He just said, "Scoot that pie over and get in. It's getting cold out here." Like it was the most ordinary thing in the world, a man dropping everything to come get a kid. Nobody else remembered. That's the kind of detail I hold onto more than any big dramatic moment. A dish towel over a shoulder. A pie going cold on a vinyl seat. Small things. But they add up to a person, the way single bricks add up to a wall that keeps the weather out. And somewhere along the way, without anyone deciding it out loud, I became the family's designated problem. The charity case. That's the actual phrase my mother used at Thanksgiving when I was 16, half joking, the way people say cruel things and then act surprised when they land. Well, you know Denise. She's always been Dad's little charity case. Everyone laughed. I laughed too. I didn't know what else to do with my face. I want to be honest with you here, because I promised myself I'd tell this whole thing straight, including the parts that don't make me look good. I let that word settle into me. I built a whole personality around being the burden, the one who cost too much, needed too much. And when I got older, I leaned into my grandfather instead of fighting my way back toward my parents, because he was easy, and they were work, and I picked easy. That's on me. I'm not going to pretend I spent 30 years reaching for my mother and getting slapped away. Some years I just stopped reaching. Grandpa paid for my community college when my parents said there wasn't money, though somehow there was money for Tyler's truck and Meg's wedding. He co-signed my first apartment, sat across from a landlord in a cramped rental office, and signed his name without asking me a single question about whether I could really cover the payments, because his answer to that was already decided before he walked in the door. I think about the hospital most, though. Both times I miscarried, he was the one who got there first, before my own husband could leave work and cross town. I remember the second time especially. A Tuesday again. Of course it was a Tuesday. Lying in a paper gown on a table, too narrow for the weight of what was happening, and looking up to see him standing in the doorway of the recovery room, holding 2 paper cups of vending machine coffee. One for me and one he never drank, just so his hands would have something to do. He didn't say anything wise. He just sat in the plastic chair beside the bed and let me cry into a hospital blanket that smelled like bleach, and every so often he'd reach over and squeeze my foot through the blanket, like he was checking I was still there. And when I went back to school in my 30s to become a probate paralegal, he was the one who drove me to night classes twice a week for a year and a half. Same green truck, older now. Engine ticking in the cold parking lot, while he waited to make sure I got out safe, reading the newspaper by the dome light until I came out at 9:30. I chose that career because of him. Honestly, I liked the order of it. Wills, trusts, estates, documents that say, in plain black ink, what a person actually wanted, after all the noise of a family, has a chance to drown it out. I spent my days reading other people's final wishes and thinking about how rarely families manage to honor them without a fight. I didn't know I was about to become one of those families. Grandpa died on a Tuesday in October, in his sleep, in the house on Miller Street he'd lived in for 51 years. I got the call from a neighbor, not my mother. My mother found out because I called her. The funeral was small, quiet, the kind he would have wanted. My mother wore black and cried in a way that looked real to me, and I want to say that too. Her grief was not performance. Whatever came after, I never doubted that she loved her father. Grief and guilt can live in the same chest at the same time. I know that better than almost anyone. It was 2 weeks later, at the reading of the will, when the truck stopped turning the corner for good. The estate wasn't enormous. A paid-off house worth maybe $200,000, some savings, a life insurance policy, a coin collection Tyler had always wanted. Grandpa's attorney, a soft-spoken man named Phil Ostrander, who'd known my grandfather for 30 years, read through it plainly. The coins to Tyler, a set of pearl earrings to Meg, and the house on Miller Street, along with 60% of the savings, to me. I remember the exact silence that followed, not shocked silence, calculating silence. I could see my mother's jaw working, doing math. Within a month, she and Tyler had filed a will contest. The claim was undue influence. that I had manipulated a lonely, declining old man into rewriting his estate in my favor, that I had isolated him from his family, that the version of Grandpa in that will wasn't really him, it was me, wearing his name. I want to sit with how that felt for a second, because I think people rush past this part in stories like mine. It wasn't just about money to me. It was that the story they were telling, Denise, the charity case, finally got greedy. Finally took what she'd been angling for her whole life. Fits so easily into the shape they'd already built of me. Nobody had to imagine anything new. They just had to reach for the label that was already sitting there. My father didn't join the contest. He also didn't call me. He sent one text. "Your mother needs to do this. I hope you understand." I did not understand. I read it 40 times trying to. Here's where my job stopped being just my job. I've spent 9 years reading estate litigation from the outside, pulling files, organizing exhibits, watching attorneys build cases from paper. I know what undue influence actually requires under Ohio law. You don't just need suspicion. You need to show the testator lacked independent judgment, that the beneficiary controlled access to him, isolated him, was involved in procuring the will itself. I also knew, cold and clear, sitting at my kitchen table with the contest papers in front of me, that none of that was true, and that the truth leaves a paper trail if you're patient enough to build one. So, I did what I know how to do. I didn't cry to my husband about how unfair it was, though I did plenty of that too some nights. Mostly, I built a file. I pulled 3 years of emails between Grandpa and Phil Ostrander, showing he'd revised that will twice on his own initiative. Once before I'd even known he was sick, I got statements from his cardiologist confirming his cognition was sharp until the final weeks. I found the visitor log from his independent living community, because Grandpa had moved there 18 months before he died, a detail my mother's lawyer somehow never mentioned in the filing, showing Tyler had visited 4 times in a year and a half, and Meg twice, and I had visited, on average, once a week. There was a deposition before any of that, 6 weeks into the contest, in a conference room with a laminate table and a court reporter typing so fast. Her fingers looked like they were vibrating. My mother's attorney asked me questions designed to make a granddaughter sound like a con artist. Did I handle Grandpa's mail? Did I attend his doctor's appointments? Did I know his account passwords? I answered every one honestly, because honesty was the only weapon I actually trusted. And I watched him try to build a staircase out of ordinary facts that only looked sinister. If you'd already decided where they were supposed to lead, afterward, in the parking garage, my mother was waiting by my car. Not to apologize, to ask, quietly, almost pleading, "Why does it have to be like this, Denise?" And for a second I almost softened, because some part of me will always want to soften for her. Some 9-year-old part still watching a window for a car that isn't coming. But I just said, "I didn't make it like this, Mom." I just answered the questions. She looked at me like I'd slapped her, got in her car, and drove away. And I found the letter. Phil had it in his file the whole time. Sealed, meant to be read only if the will was ever challenged. Grandpa had dictated it to Phil himself, word for word, 8 months before he died, sound of mind, on the record. He'd apparently seen this coming before any of us did. The hearing was in March. A small courtroom, county building, fluorescent lights that made everyone look a little bit dead already. My mother sat across the aisle from me, in a navy blazer, and for 1 second, Before either of us remembered, we were supposed to be enemies. Our eyes caught, and I saw something in her face that wasn't anger. It was closer to fear. I think some part of her already knew what was coming. And some part of her, God help her, still hoped she was wrong. Her attorney argued it well, I'll give him that. Isolation. Vulnerability. A pattern of dependence going back to childhood, twisted now into a lifetime of positioning myself as indispensable to a lonely old man. He wasn't wrong that I loved being needed by my grandfather. He was wrong about why. When it was our turn, Phil didn't put me on the stand first. He put the letter in. The judge read it. Not aloud, not dramatically, just quietly. At the bench, while the whole room waited, in that particular silence a courtroom makes, thick and self-conscious. Then she nodded to Phil, and he read it into the record himself, in that same soft voice he used for everything. Grandpa had written about the truck, about picking me up so many times he stopped counting, about my mother calling me a charity case at a Thanksgiving table when I was 16, a comment he said he never forgot and never forgave himself for not correcting in the moment. And then, near the end, one line, plain as anything. I didn't leave Denise more, because she earned it more than her brother and sister. I left her more because she was the only one who ever showed up without being asked. That was the line. I've heard people talk about a sentence that changes a room. That was it. I watched my mother's shoulders come down, not in defeat exactly, more like something she'd been holding rigid for 40 years, finally let go. I didn't cry on the stand. I didn't raise my voice. When my mother's attorney asked me, almost gently now, whether I felt I deserved this, I said the truest thing I had. I don't think deserving is the right word. I think he was just telling the truth about who came when he called. That was the whole climax. No shouting, no dramatic reveal I hadn't already lived through quietly for months. Just a letter, read plain, and a room full of people finally hearing what had actually happened instead of the story they'd built around it. There's one more person I need to tell you about. My Aunt Diane, Grandpa's younger sister, was in that courtroom too. 83 years old, driven 3 hours by her granddaughter to be there. She wasn't a witness in the legal sense. She never took the stand. But afterward, in the hallway, she took my hand in both of hers and said, I watched that truck for 50 years, Denise. I know exactly whose it was and exactly who it was for. She didn't need to say anything else. She'd seen it. She'd remember it right. My mother withdrew the contest 2 weeks later. We didn't hug in that hallway, didn't have some movie reconciliation. What we had was smaller and, I think, more honest. She called me, on my actual phone number, and said, I think I need some time to sit with what I did. I told her okay. That was it. That was the whole conversation. Sometimes that's what repair sounds like at the very start. Not forgiveness yet. Just somebody willing to look at themselves honestly for the first time. Tyler and I still aren't close. He sent one email, mostly about the coin collection, mostly about logistics. I don't know if that ever heals. I've made peace with the possibility that it might not. My father called me once, about a month after the hearing. He didn't apologize either, not exactly, but he talked for a while about his own father, a man I never met, who'd been hard and distant in ways Grandpa never was. And I understood, listening to him, that he'd spent his whole life afraid of becoming that man and had somehow ended up just quiet enough, just absent enough, to raise a daughter who went looking for a father figure 2 doors down instead. He said, I should have been the one in that truck. I told him it wasn't too late to be something else now. He didn't say much after that, but he sends a text every couple weeks now. Just small things. A photo of a sunset, a joke he heard at the hardware store. It's not the truck, but it's something, and I've decided to let it be enough for now. I moved into the house on Miller Street last spring. I kept the green truck too, even though it doesn't run anymore. Parked it in the garage instead of selling it for scrap, like the estate appraiser suggested. Some mornings I go sit in it with my coffee before work, engine off, radio off, just sitting where he sat. Here's what I know now that I didn't know at that kitchen table when I was 9 years old. Doing homework, waiting for headlights. Being needed and being loved aren't always the same thing. But sometimes, if you're lucky, one person decides to make them the same thing for you, anyway. On purpose. Every single time they show up. It isn't charity when somebody keeps choosing you. It's just love. Wearing its work clothes. Showing up on time. I still touch that key before I open my mail. It doesn't open anything anymore. I don't need it to. I know exactly what it means. If somebody showed up for you like that. A grandparent, a neighbor. Anybody who turned the corner, right on time when they didn't have to. Tell me about them in the comments. I'd like to hear it. And if this one found you tonight, stay a while longer. I've got more of these.